Coffee's secret? It starts with espresso. This super concentrated coffee is made by pushing hot water through fine grounds. It creates a dense shot topped with golden crema. Espresso means pressed out in Italian. Grind, temp, and pressure all impact its quality. And, of course, the barista's skill. Latte. It's espresso with lots of steamed milk. Just a little foam on top. The milk makes it smooth, softening the espresso's bite. It's a worldwide favorite for a reason. Cafe latte simply means coffee with milk, usually 1 part espresso to 3 or 4 parts milk. So it's one of the mildest espresso drinks. Latte art began in Seattle in the 80s and went global. Americano is just espresso with hot water added. Tastes like drip coffee, but with espresso's unique brew. Legend says U.S. soldiers in Italy invented it. They found espresso too strong, so they diluted it. Keeps the espresso flavor, but it's lighter. Affogato. A classic Italian dessert. Vanilla ice cream with a hot espresso shot. Affogato means drowned in Italian. Italians often enjoy it after meals. Modern versions might use gelato or add liquor. Turkish coffee is one of the oldest methods still used. Superfine grounds are simmered in a pot with water. It's never filtered, so grounds settle at the bottom. It started in the Ottoman Empire back in the 1500s. Some even read the grounds for fortune-telling. Vietnamese egg coffee. Invented in Hanoi in 1946 when milk was scarce. A bartender whipped egg yolks with sugar and condensed milk. It's like a liquid tiramisu with a custard texture. The recipe became so famous, the bartender opened his own cafe. Cold brew. Coffee brewed slowly with cold water. No hot water involved at all. This process takes 12 to 24 hours. It avoids extracting bitter, acidic compounds, resulting in a naturally smoother drink. Even without added sugar, not to be confused with iced coffee. It became huge commercially around 2015 and has a longer shelf life than hot coffee. Nitro cold brew is cold brew infused with nitrogen, served on tap like beer. Tiny bubbles create a thick, creamy texture. Starbucks launched it in 2016 and it took off. The nitrogen actually makes it taste sweeter. Usually served without ice.
Ethiopian buna.
Ethiopia is coffee's birthplace. The coffee ceremony, buna, is very symbolic. It involves roasting beans over an open flame, then grinding them by hand and brewing in a clay pot. Served in 3 rounds, each weaker than the last. The first is strongest for pleasure. The second is for contemplation. The last is for good fortune. The whole ceremony can take hours to share. Buna just means coffee. Cappuccino. Equal parts espresso, steamed milk, and foam. Usually in a small cup. The name comes from the Capuchin friars. Their robes matched the drink's color. Or maybe the foam resembled their hoods. Traditionally a morning drink in Italy. Milk might hinder digestion later. Variations use cream or non-dairy milk. Some add cocoa or cinnamon. Finnish Kaffeost. Coffee cheese has been drunk for centuries. Mild cheese cubes go straight into the coffee. The cheese absorbs flavor without melting. Drink the coffee, then eat the cheese with a spoon. Similar to halloumi or cheese curds. The combo sounds odd to most, but it's surprisingly good. Mocha is a latte with chocolate added. Tastes like coffee meets hot chocolate. Named after the port city of Mocha in Yemen. Yemeni coffee had a natural chocolatey flavor. The name stuck for coffee and chocolate, even though modern mochas aren't from Yemen. The Dutch later smuggled beans to Java, creating the first commercial blend, Mocha Java. It balanced Yemeni and Javanese coffee notes. The top order worldwide. Great for those who find coffee too bitter.
Mexican Café de Olla.
Coffee from the pot, a traditional Mexican brew. Coffee simmered with cinnamon and piloncillo. Piloncillo is unrefined brown sugar. The clay pot adds a subtle earthy quality, common in Mexico, especially for holidays. Cinnamon and sugar make it warming and sweet. Gibraltar, also called a cortado, espresso with just enough milk to mellow it. Is typically a mix of 1 part espresso and 1 part milk, served in a small glass. The name Gibraltar actually comes from the specific glass it's traditionally served in, and this drink gained popularity at Blue Bottle Coffee in San Francisco during the early 2000s. In terms of how strong it is and how much milk it has, it falls right between an espresso and a latte. This makes it a top choice for those who really want to taste the coffee but find a plain espresso a bit too intense. Because it's served in a small glass and is a short drink, it's meant to be sipped rather quickly. Bulletproof coffee is essentially brewed coffee blended with grass-fed butter and an MCT oil supplement, which is a type of fat derived from coconut oil. Entrepreneur Dave Asprey helped popularize it around 2011. This was after he experienced yak butter tea while traveling in Tibet, and he returned home wanting to create a similar beverage. The concept quickly resonated with individuals following keto and low-carb diets. Drinkers report that the added fats provide sustained energy for a long period without causing a spike in blood sugar. However, critics suggest that substituting a meal with butter and oil means missing out on many essential nutrients. It evolved into a significant commercial product, launching an entire brand built around the core idea. Cafe Cubano is a small, intensely sweet shot of espresso that originated in Cuba. What sets it apart from a standard espresso is a thick, sweet foam on top called espuma. This is created by whipping the very first drops of espresso with sugar until they form a light, creamy paste, and then allowing the rest of the espresso shot to pour over this mixture. The final drink is incredibly strong, sweet, and rich. The sweetness is incorporated into the drink right from the very start. You'll find this beverage commonly enjoyed in Miami's Little Havana neighborhood. Greek frappe. The Greek frappe is a cold, foamy iced coffee made with instant coffee, water, and sometimes sugar. It's either shaken or blended vigorously until a thick, light brown foam forms. Then it's served over ice and topped with cold water or milk. It was actually invented by accident in 1957 at a trade fair in Thessaloniki, when a representative from Nescafe, named Dimitris Vakandias, couldn't find any hot water for his coffee. So he mixed instant coffee with cold water in a shaker and discovered the foam it produced. It rapidly became the signature coffee drink of Greece. Kopi Luwak is recognized as one of the rarest and most expensive coffees available worldwide. It's produced from coffee beans that have been consumed and then passed through the digestive system of a small animal known as the Asian palm civet, which is a cat-like creature native to the region of Southeast Asia. During the digestive process, enzymes within the civet's stomach break down proteins in the beans. This is said to reduce bitterness and create a smoother, more complex flavor profile. The beans are then gathered from the animal's droppings, cleaned, roasted, and offered for sale. They can command prices of several $100s per pound. The initial concept emerged from Indonesian farmers during the period of Dutch colonial rule. They were prohibited from harvesting coffee themselves, so they began collecting what civets had eaten in the wild. A major concern today is that high demand has resulted in civets being confined to small cages and force-fed coffee cherries, a practice strongly condemned by animal welfare organizations. Kopi Luwak that is genuinely sourced ethically and from wild civets does exist, but it's exceptionally scarce and costly. Dalgona coffee is a frothy coffee beverage that experienced massive global popularity in early 2020. It's prepared by whipping together equal parts instant coffee, sugar, and hot water until the mixture becomes thick, pale, and fluffy. This whipped topping is then spooned over a glass of cold milk. The foam sits on top, and you're meant to stir it into the milk before drinking. Its name is inspired by a Korean sugar candy called dalgona, which shares a similar color and texture. A South Korean actor, Chung Il-woo, tried a version of this drink in Macau and spoke about it on a television program in early 2020, which helped propel it into widespread public awareness. It rapidly spread across platforms like TikTok and Instagram within just a few weeks. However, the same type of drink had previously existed in various forms across India, Pakistan, and Libya, where it was known as beaten coffee or whipped coffee and had been prepared at home for many years. Café Bonbon is a Spanish coffee beverage that originated in Valencia. It's now popular throughout Spain and in certain parts of Southeast Asia. It's made using equal measures of espresso and sweetened condensed milk. It's usually presented in a small glass so you can observe the two distinct layers before you mix them. The condensed milk settles at the bottom because it's denser than the coffee. The striking visual contrast between the dark espresso on top and the white layer underneath is a significant part of its appeal. The word bonbon itself translates to candy or a sweet treat in Spanish. It's rich, sweet, and served in a small portion, feeling more like a dessert than a typical coffee. A very similar drink is also popular in Malaysia and Singapore, going by the name kopi susu. This drink, Café Touba, is the most consumed beverage in Senegal and is revered as a sacred drink by the Married Brotherhood, a prominent Islamic Sufi order established there in the late 1800s. It's brewed with coffee and a West African spice known as salim pepper, also referred to as grains of salim or jar in the Wolof language, and sometimes cloves are added too. This combination gives it a warm, spiced, and slightly medicinal flavor profile that makes it unique among coffee drinks worldwide. The beverage is named after the holy city of Touba in Senegal and is deeply connected to the teachings of the Brotherhood's founder, Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba. It is prepared and sold by vendors called talibs on street corners all across Senegal, typically poured from large thermoses into small cups. For many Senegalese people, drinking it is seen as both a daily ritual and a spiritual practice. Flat white is espresso combined with steamed milk, similar to a latte but smaller, with a stronger coffee taste and significantly less foam. It's believed to have originated in either Australia or New Zealand during the 1980s. The key distinction from a latte lies in the proportions. A flat white uses the same amount of espresso, but substantially less milk, which results in a more pronounced and clearer coffee flavor. The milk is steamed to achieve a smooth, velvety texture with minimal foam on top, which is precisely where the flat aspect of its name comes from. It became a significant element of the global specialty coffee movement when Starbucks included it on their menu in 2015, introducing it to a vast number of people who hadn't encountered it before. It occupies a middle ground between a latte and a pure espresso. Mazagran is widely considered to be the very first iced coffee, with its origins dating back to Algeria in the 1840s. French soldiers who were stationed near a fort named Mazagran began running low on milk and started drinking their coffee cold and black, sometimes adding cold water or a touch of sugar. They brought this practice back to France, where cafes began to offer it, and the drink eventually evolved into different variations across various countries. In Portugal today, Mazagran typically consists of espresso served over ice with lemon juice, and occasionally a splash of sparkling water. This combination imparts a slightly tart, refreshing flavor that feels quite different from a standard coffee drink. It bridges the gap between a coffee and a lemonade, making it particularly enjoyable in the summer. Yuan Yang is a popular drink from Hong Kong made by combining coffee and milk tea. It's usually made with 1 part coffee to 2 parts Hong Kong-style milk tea, which is a rich, creamy tea brewed using evaporated or condensed milk. The name is derived from the Mandarin word for the mandarin duck, a bird species where the male and female appear distinctly different from each other, serving as a symbol for two dissimilar things paired together. It was originally created as a drink for the working class in Hong Kong's cha chan tangs, which are informal, fast-paced local eateries that have been a fundamental part of the city's culinary culture since the 1950s. It's a symbol for combining two completely different things. This drink was first made for working folks in Hong Kong's unique diners, called cha chan tangs. These lively local spots have been a core part of the city's food scene since the 50s. You can enjoy it piping hot or chilled over ice. Let's talk about Arabic coffee. This rich beverage, known locally as kuwa, is typically brewed using lightly roasted Arabica beans with aromatic spices like cardamom. It's traditionally boiled and served in small cups, often playing a key role in welcoming guests and social occasions. Typically, it's prepared without sugar, boiled in a special pot called a dala, and poured into a small cup featuring a distinctive pattern named finjan. The origins of Arabic coffee trace back to Greater Yemen, specifically emerging from the coastal city of Mocha in Yemen. Back in 2015, UNESCO recognized Kowa by adding it to its esteemed list of intangible cultural heritage. Now, shifting gears to egg coffee. It's important to note that egg coffee, especially in the Scandinavian context, is quite distinct from the Vietnamese version. This brewing method has been a popular practice in countries like Sweden and Norway, as well as within Scandinavian immigrant communities found in the American Midwest. It made its way there during the 19th century and remains a tradition at church gatherings and community events even now. The unique technique involves incorporating a raw egg, and sometimes even the shell, directly into the dry coffee grounds before the brewing process begins.